Hello students, this is Alan Boers speaking to you from the Anthropology Lab at Kenai Peninsula College. And this is one of 3 lectures on Denaina language, this one on the sound system. So perhaps you've already looked at the one on the language in general, and there will also be one on grammar. This one just on the sound system, and then we'll lead into how some words are spoken. So the development of the writing system, called an orthography, has an interesting history. First of all, any given orthography is a notational system meant to mirror speech, and so the system has a set of characters, letters, that mimic speech. It is not exactly the same as, say, the English writing system, which has characters that aren't said. For an orthography like the Denaina orthography, every symbol has a sound to it. So in that sense, it's similar. No silent sounds, in other words, like in the English write, R-I-G-H-T, the G is not spoken. The development goes back to work with Navajo, which Navajo is a Athabascan or Dene language. And back in 1939, a team of people, John Harrington, Robert Young, William Morgan, and Oliver Lafarge, a team of both linguists and Navajo scholars, Navajo speakers, developed an orthography for Navajo, a writing system for Navajo, and that has become the basis of all subsequent Athabascan Dene orthographies, writing systems. And it was an interesting collaboration because very early on it was a collaboration among linguists and speakers, Navajo speakers. In the late 1960s, James Carey taught English at Hoopa High School. Hoopa is Athabascan territory, a small Athabascan territory in Northern California. He'd graduated with a degree in English from UCLA and taught English and learned 2 things. Learned one, that teaching high school English was not for him, but became fascinated with the Athabascan language, Hoopa. And so he went to the University of New Mexico, where he subsequently earned a PhD in Navajo studies and doing work on Navajo. And in 1973 he came to Alaska, and along with Michael Krause, then of the Alaska Native Language Center, he applied the Navajo writing system to Denaina, as well as other Athabascan languages. So all of the Athabascan languages in the north employ the same orthography, the same writing system. And Jim worked with a lot of different languages, especially Denaina, and he taught speakers like Peter Kalifornsky and Albert Wassily to write in Denaina. Albert Wassily produced, and here's his picture, the second one down. That's Albert to write, and Albert produced a dictionary and other writings. That dictionary is still in use today, and it's still available. Called a student dictionary, primarily with the inland dialect. And a few years earlier, Peter Kalifornsky in 1974 took to writing, and he wrote The Mouse Story, which was the first story he wrote. And that started him on a magnificent career as a Native American writer. And today, Peter Kalifornsky is considered one of the finest Native American writers of his generation, writing in his indigenous language. And that's the important part of this. Peter wrote in Denaina. He did not write in English and then translate it into Denaina. Neither did he tell the story in Denaina and have someone else translate it. He literally wrote in Denaina, as we talked about in the lecture on Denaina language in general. So this was the system he used. It was taught to him by Jim Carey, and it tracks back to Navajo. So here's a version of the Denaina sound system. This is the consonants. It is loosely based on a system known as the International Phonetic Alphabet, part of which was developed by Edward Sapir, a famous American linguist, who, by the way, had a student named Cornelius Osgood, who you've run across, because Cornelius Osgood did the ethnography of the Denaina, and so there was that connection as well. So the system is based on really three pieces of information. Across the top is where the sound is made, from front to back in the oral cavity down into the throat. Along the left-hand margin is how the sound is made. So, a little squiggly there. So these terms have to do with how the sound is made. And the other piece of information, primary piece of information, is whether the sound is voiceless. That's what the VL means. Or voiced. That's what the VD means. So that basically means employing the glottis or the voice box in whether it's used or not used. So we'll come back to these sounds, but now I want to go to the next slide and show you the same thing, but this time for English, the English consonants. Vowels are a different matter. Vowels do not involve some sort of articulation of the tongue or other parts of the oral cavity. You basically form your mouth as a drum and form the ah, eh, oo vowel sounds, but the consonants involve some sort of articulation. So again, the system is where the sounds are made, front to back in the mouth, and how the sounds are made. So a labial sound means both lips, again, voiceless, and if you stop the air and let it out, and we can have a regular P or an aspirated P. I'll use the aspirated P first because that's how it's easier to make. So you're using both lips, stopping the sound, and then letting it loose, but not using your voice box. Voiceless. P, 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 put, pin. All of these will be made the same way in any language. Moving down, we make the same sound bilabial, and stop the sound, but voice it this time, and we end up with b, but, ball, b. So p, b, p, b. Same place, same manner, but voiced or voiceless. The same can be said with the T and the D sound. Now we'll go back in the mouth. There's an alveolar ridge. That's the little ridge behind your teeth. You can feel it with your tongue. If you want to, you can stick your finger back there and feel that ridge. So the voiced version is going to be putting that tongue against that ridge, stopping the sound momentarily, and then letting it loose. D, d, d. Doll, dread, d sound. The T sound is exactly the same, except voiceless. T, 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 top, tall. Again, these sounds are, if the language has a T, by definition, it's going to be an alveolar voiceless stop. There are about 88 sounds that humans can make. Most languages employ about 40 to 50 of those consonants. And I think it's about 44 in English. I can't remember the exact number. And there are different notational systems. I should point that out as well, that this is just one type of notation. So along the same lines, we'll go back in the mouth. Easier to make the voiced version. So here's a velar. That's the little hangy down thing in the back of your mouth. So you're going to stop the sound. G, g, g. Ground. Girl. You're going to stop the sound, let it out. It's harder to feel that particular movement because there are fewer nerve endings in the back of your mouth. But it's the same thing. Here's the k, the voiceless version. K, k, kick. And it doesn't correspond with English spelling. Call is a K sound. Call. And the Q sound k, k, is further back. So you can feel it going back if you make the b, d, g. B, d, g. So these sounds are described by the place of articulation, the manner of articulation. Labial dental means the teeth and the lips. So and this is a fricative. Fricatives, that's an okay word to say in mixed company. Fricative. V, v, v means you're going to sort of stop the air momentarily and then let it slide out. V, v, v. F, f, finger is the voiceless version. This is what we normally spell with a th, voiceless, as in thing, thing. And this is the same th we normally spell in English. That, that. S and Z, H, all of these are described by the place and the manner of articulation. Nasals, that's another one. We won't go through all of them, but nasals, there you're going to stop the air and force it out of your nose. With both lips. But if you stop the air with your tongue against that same alveolar ridge, And this sound way back, if you stop it with in the velar area, we normally write it as ing, but it's with this symbol, ing, ing, ing. And if you want to gently try making the M sound with, and then pinch your nose shut, you'll find you won't be able to do it. Place and manner of articulation. In this chart, the black sounds, phones, technically, the black phones are in Denaina as well as English. The red ones are not in Denaina, so there is no P sound in Denaina, for example. There is no F sound in Denaina. In learning a language, if you were Denaina learning English, it would be difficult to make the P and the F sounds, as an example. So going back to the Denaina chart, same thing. The black ones are the same sound that's in English, for example, the T sound, the T, the voiceless T, or the D sound, the voiced D. But Denaina has a number of sounds that aren't in English. The TL, the TS, the barred L, and that's supposed to have a little bar through it. It's harder to see with this particular font. So these will be hard for you to make as an English speaker, but it takes practice. But it's the same system. This becomes then the basis of the writing system. A good way to learn it, I'm going to go to this next slide, is a very excellent YouTube video by Joan Tenenbaum, who was a linguist working with Denaina in Alaska. Now she's an artist living in the Seattle area. But let me click on this. Let me see if I can click on it. So this is going to go to this YouTube. So we'll just let it play for a little bit.
Okay, listen how many syllables. There's three. There's three syllables. My name is Joan Tenenbaum, and you probably know me as the author of The Morphology and Semantics of the Denaina Verb. That was my doctoral dissertation. And I'm here to help with Denaina pronunciation for those of you who are learning the language and who want to speak it better. So I want to describe the sounds in the Denaina language in a way that you can understand the way that they're made. This is a diagram of a cross-section of a mouth. As if you just cut a cross-section right through a person's mouth. Here's the nose, the lips, the teeth. And this is the mouth and the tongue. This is the uvula. And then this would be the air passage from the nose that goes down through the vocal cords and the larynx to the lungs. And we write the symbols for the sounds in the Denaina language with these letters that we're using to represent these sounds. And the reason we write them in a chart like this is because this represents the reason we write them in these lines is because the ones here on the left are made at the lips, at the front of the mouth, and then as we go this way, these sounds are made right here behind the teeth. The next line are made starting here and releasing with an L sound in this area. These sounds are made in this part, etc. So when we get to these sounds, they're made here. The velars, G-K, are made here at the back of the mouth, where in English we make a K or a G. K. And then these are made in back of that, here at the uvula, at the place where you would gargle. And these are called back velars. And then these are made all the way down here at the vocal cords.
So I'm going to stop it there. She's going to go through all of the sounds. So if you'll notice here, let me get my pen back again. Oops. I just lost it. Okay, I got it back. So if you notice down here, it says Denaina Transcription 1 of 5. So there are 5 of these. You can either go back to what I clicked on, or if you search for Denaina language on the YouTube, you'll come to this. So it'd be great for you to go through this. She's really she's the expert on it, and of course native speakers are experts on it as well, but this is a way to help to learn how to make the sounds in Denaina. So another way to learn the sounds, and we'll see if we can get to this one. This is a website that is housed here at Kenai Peninsula College. It was done in conjunction with the Kenai Indian Tribe and the college. And now this is being redone, so you maybe even as within a few weeks, if you were to click on this and find it, you will see a little different version than this. But this is the original one. A little bit dated now, but it's now being upgraded, a little more modern look. So another way to learn the sounds is to go to the sound system, and you could click on the sound chart. And this is Peter Kalifornsky saying a word that illustrates the sound by this symbol in Denaina. So I'll just click on one.
Adata. Adata.
So that's like the in father, The word actually means uncle, adada.
Adata.
So you could,
Adata.
pardon me, Peter, you could practice saying it and try to mimic Peter's saying the sound. We'll do a couple more.
Bekudunye. Bekudunye.
And so forth. These are sounds that we have in English, so they won't be too hard for you. That means a one-person kayak, an old man or grandfather,
Chada. Chada.
and that's the CH sound. So we'll go to some of the sounds that are harder for English speakers to make, and this is one of them.
Chub. Chub.
So it has that little glottal stop right at the end of the CH, but it's one sound,
Chub.
and it means
Chub.
and.
Denaina. Denaina.
So here Peter says that Denaina. Note we have talked about how other parts of Denaina territory, the pronunciation is Denaina. Denaina. So it's not a matter of who's right, who's wrong. It's a matter of local variation. And so we honor both versions. There's actually several other slight variations of it. Here's the DL sound.
Glug. Glug.
So you can just go through these on your own once you find it. Click on them. We'll go to some of the hard ones here. Well, this is a good word. It's not so hard.
Kaka. Kaka.
So when you run into a brown bear, you say gaga shui da, yagali do. Brown bear, my friend, how are you? This is a hard one for English speakers. At least it's hard for me.
Rale. Rale.
Rale. Rale. Real, true, or genuine. And there's, let's see, part 2. The newer version will have them all on one page. The voiceless L.
Shika. Shika.
Shika. Dog, it means, so it's a barred L. It's also found in this word for water.
Mishne. Mishne.
So that's a hard one for English speakers to make. And the X, where's the X? There, that's another hard one.
Bajuk. Bajuk.
Bajuh. Bajuh. Caribou. So you can practice your Denaina or Denaina. Practice the sounds on your own if you'd like. We have sections on vocabulary as well. This too is shortly to be upgraded. We'll have about 100 to 200 words that we'll add to this. In some ways this first part was just to see if we could do it, to see if we could use this medium. A lot of these vocabulary, all of the vocabulary are for the Kenai dialect, and stem from Peter Kalifornsky, Mary Nissen, and Fedosius Sakaloff, recordings that fortunately were done before they died, so we have them as the speakers say them. And there are other vocabularies for other dialects of Denaina, particularly for the inland dialect, and they're all important, and in the first lecture I talked about the dialect differences. So where should we go? We'll do fish here. So this is Bertha Monfort speaking, and she's going to say the word for salmon and fish in general.
Suka. Suka.
Suka.
Suka.
And
Suka.
so the A, this will make it big salmon or king salmon.
Sukaka. Sukaka.
And so on down the line. And there's, what do we got here? This is actually either a Sugpiaq or a Yupik word.
Amaguk. Amaguk.
A borrowed word. And more vocabulary, you can click on through it. There's that same
Shika. Shika. Kumshi. Kumshi.
So these were all recorded on old style tapes and digitized and put into this format. Cleaned them up a little bit, but not too much, just kind of tried to keep the original flavor. Vocabulary. This section has some stories, and would include the whole story, so you can hear. This is, I think, mostly these are Peter's stories. Here's one, putting up fish. And there we go. And if you click here, you'll hear the whole story. And along this, we have each sentence separate. So,
Takfish tennis keys.
play it again.
Takfish tennis keys.
So this is, I set the net in the water, and here's the grammatical breakdown of that word, which you could come back to this section if you wanted to after listening to the grammar section, and you'd have a little more understanding of how this this sentence is put together. He puts the net in the water. If we go back to the whole story, and he'll talk about catching a fish, and he'll talk about cleaning it and making balik, which is a kind of dried fish, and then smoked fish, pardon me, and then he'll have it for winter. I'm going to just highlight a couple of sentences here. So here he's talking about what in English we would say catching a fish, but notice it means a fish swam into me. A fish swam to me. When we go further in the class, we'll talk about the Denaina concept that animals have a will. Animals can choose to be caught or not. They're not trying to avoid it. If you have the right attitude and have the right practices, a fish will swim to you. And so embedded in the language is meaning, cultural meaning, reflecting beliefs, reflecting attitudes, in this case toward nature. This particular story is part of a set of stories that all end with this phrase. Then it's for winter, which is both literal, putting up fish for winter, but it's also metaphorical. It's a metaphor of Denaina life. Looking forward, getting ready for winter, getting ready for the next season, getting ready for the next year. Life is season after season, and particularly summer is and fall is a time to get ready for winter. Denaina life, captured in this simple phrase. So we'll come back to this, some of these stories, when we talk more about Denaina stories and their meaning as we embed them throughout the class. But I hope you can go to this website. Let me back it up here and see if I can get us home. Go here and click around, check out the sound system, check out the vocabulary, look a little bit at the stories. We've already looked a little at the territory and place names. And this section is a Denaina grammar. It's a PDF file, and it's long and extensive. I forget how many pages. It's well over 100 pages. It's something I've used to teach people to write and read in Denaina. So empowering people to understand the language by producing their own stories, or to read the existing stories. So it needs to be used along with dictionaries. It needs to be used along with, pardon me, I'm sorry to get out of that like that, but it's meant to be used as part of a system. But if grammar is your thing, then you could look at that. So that's the writing system, a little bit of introduction to it, and thank you.